And I already started my blank NetBeans environment. So I'm just going to say File, New Project, and by the way, because the recording didn't work really well last week, I just thought that the first project I started with interfaces was way too complicated, because I tried to use multiple interfaces at once, and we may come back to re-examine it today. But let's just start with this fresh one. All right, so I'm going to name this one is would be fly trainer or something. I don't know. And then the location of this, I would like to go to my portable drive so I can carry it with me. We'll say 1, 2, 3. Can say projects. All right, so projects, we can do it here. Okay, so this would be my location, and I am going to name this main app. By the way, main app, which we're about to create, it is optional to show it or not to show it on the diagram. For example, I created this main app class because I know I need it to be able to accommodate my main method in the application. So I may as well just go back to Violet here and select a class and essentially name it main app, just to indicate that class does exist. It's okay to have this shown as it sort of, perhaps because it will only contain the main method. I am not going to create any associations between the main app and other classes, because it has only one static main method, and it's not going to retain any instances of objects in terms of creating them and saving them in references. So it's just just a class. We could also do this. Just make sure that we indicate that there's a main method in it. So obviously this class indicates, okay, this is where the whole application begins. And you really need to, UML in general doesn't suggest the timeline. It doesn't tell you how things are constructed in what order. You just basically say, this is the structure on which we'd like to rely on to implement the entire application, and this is the types of connections and classes that we have. So this is just a structure. There's no timeline. There's no suggestion that this happens first, this happens next, who creates who is responsible for manufacturing instances of these classes. No, we're just saying that this is the ultimate goal, is to have the structure in place, and then the user can be productive and do what they do. Okay, so let's take a look. So here's our Java code. Right? And well, perhaps before I create those things in the main method, what I'm going to say is going to expand the view of my project. I have my source packages. Fly trainer is the name of my package, as well as the name of my application. So right here I can right click and say I want to have a new class, and I will name it, and actually before, well, no, it doesn't matter. I'll say aircraft, right? Aircraft. Click finish. Okay, so I can document it later. We'll have a chat about documentation. In this aircraft class, what I'd like to do is that I'd like to go back to my UML diagram, double click this, and simply sort of like copy these methods, because we can Let me just copy all of this. And save it here so we can support these methods. And this will be obviously a constructor. Those things right here will be operations. And so the constructor is plus in UML becomes public. Right here, public aircraft. For now, no parameters. I'm just trying to keep everything as simple as possible, just to demonstrate everything. Takeoff, perhaps a public void method. Takeoff, again, I don't know what parameter it takes. I may decide later on. Another public, I can just do this uniformly. And this is a very typical start when you still deciding how things should work. You can use just a void return parameter. Now, set course, set altitude, and set speed. Those things I know should be the implementation of the methods declared in the interface. So I'll let me kind of have the signature in place for all of them. Let me see. I'll just do this. Set altitude, set speed. It's obviously sort of like an unfinished business here. So I'm going to save this. I know it's not going to compile because the syntax is not correct. But what I'm going to do is the next step is that I know I need to support this interface, which will be used in other parts of the program. So I'll just right-click and say, create a new file. And this time, new Java interface. And I'll say iAircraft. Oh, no, I'm sorry. iAutopilot. That's Autopilot. That was the name of the interface we used. Okay, so over there in this particular let me display it side by side. New document group creates like side-by-side view, very helpful. And so in this interface, as you know, these methods must be declared. Inside the interface, the methods are automatically assumed public and abstract. So therefore, I will simply remove the public part here, because all of the methods inside the interface automatically are made public. Because interface, by definition, presumes everything that it's trying to declare and tell someone that you can use these methods. If you have access to an object through this interface, you can publicly call these methods. But over here, I do need to say public void, if that's the return type, and of course provide the implementation, which in my case, it's sort of like, everything needs looks like a stabbed out version with not much in it. I'm going to mark the ending of my class right here. And before I save this recording, I'm also going to say that I have this autopilot interface right here. And so I'm going to say that this class implements this particular interface. Now I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I will try to use new line and just just to keep it pretty clean in terms of just making it visible right here. Public class aircraft implements iAutopilot. And iAutopilot definition is right here. It's very simple, not complicated. Simply declare some useful methods which will provide access to flying the aircraft in the autopilot mode. and perhaps that should be part of my documentation. I should probably comment it and so forth. Again, the interface could also be marked right here as mark the ending of it. This is sort of the ending of this interface, and we can save it. And let's